Hello guys, here it's Emmanuel from Tuga, and today I'm going to talk about my experience at RiaCon Aveiro, Portugal. So guys, be prepared, this video will be a little bit longer, but do some breaks on the timeline here. I don't know how to do it, but I'll find out in order for you to be able to skip to the right subject that I'm discussing. But the first thing I want to tell is about my experience at RiaCon in Aveiro. In the beginning of April, I saw a lot of people on Instagram posting photos about RiaCon, which is another board game convention in Portugal. And I was super jealous. It looked really, really cool, and I felt like I missed a big thing, and I wanted to try that. And so that's why I found out there was RiaCon by the end of May, negotiated with my girlfriend to be able to go for the weekend, and if you love this hobby and if you are passionate about board games, you owe yourself to go at least once to a board game convention. And trust me, once you went the first time, you will never look back. It will be your first of many, because it's exactly like that for me. RiaCon, it's a convention focused more on playing board games. I heard that Spiel in Essen you can play board games, but it's more commercial. People usually go there to buy board games that will come out in a month or something, and that they can maybe buy at a cheaper price, and not super cheap, but maybe not as expensive as when it will be in retail, but not as much as you take a board game from a library and you go play. From what I heard, I've never been. I want to go one day, but that's not my priority right now. My priority right now was exactly a convention like this one, where you can meet people and play a board game. And that's exactly what RiaCon is. It's completely free. I didn't have to pay anything. And you simply go there. I mean, I went all by myself. I was counting on meeting some other Instagrammers from our community, which I did. But I went all by myself, and it was amazing. They had this interesting thing at RiaCon where they had like some kind of holding thing, like with a blue meeple, that you could pick up a game. You would sit on the table, you would put this meeple on the table, and that would mean that you were looking for players. So that really shows that people are so friendly and welcoming. I felt that the whole community, the people that I played with, they didn't care from where you come from, they didn't care about anything about you, they just wanted someone to play a game. And I find that awesome. So I really enjoy that, and I could feel it with anybody that I played. Everybody was really passionate about board games. They were really interested in showing you, in teaching you their favorite board games, and I really appreciate that. And indeed, I met some people that I know their names on Instagram, but now I was able to match a face. So all of that was really cool, and I was able to finally talk with them, and it was awesome. It was awesome. So yeah, I was there only 2 days because the third day I had some personal things to do, but they were 2 intensive days. And I'll talk a bit later about the games that I've played, and I'll do a little review about them. But first, I want to talk about the organization of the convention. The staff was great. They were very friendly. They were ready to help you on anything you needed. If you needed someone to teach you a game, if they were not able to teach you the game, they would find someone within the community to teach you the game. And they were very welcoming, and 100%, 5 stars, guys. They were really, really cool. You can stay at the hotel. The convention is at the hotel on the ground floor, I think, and then you have the hotel. So people were there for the whole weekend. They were sleeping at the hotel, which is very interesting, certainly if you don't have a house or a place to stay around. So I have, but some people were coming from Lisbon, other people were coming from Leiria, from the north, so they had to get a room in order to stay. The price were quite reasonable. I think it was 50 euros a night, 55, something like that. One piece of advice that I have to give is take food with you. Bring food with you, bring water, because the first day I went like nothing, only with my sunglasses and my wallet and my phone, and that was it. Well, the hotel didn't really have any food that could serve at the time. I mean, during the afternoon, they have dinner and they have lunch, but there was no bar or anything where you could just go get a drink. Maybe with the next conventions, and if more people come, maybe opportunities may rise where they will start serving those things, but it's not the main thing, so I understand. But they were in the reception, they were selling bottle of waters, so that was still fine. You can eat at the hotel, you can have dinner, because I find that if I have to break, like if I'm playing a game, I finish the game and then I need to go out to eat, it kind of breaks a little bit the flow of everything. You know, I come back, my group is split, I need to find someone else to play, I need to know which game am I going to play, maybe I need to learn the rules and so on. So it kind of breaks all the group and everything, and I recommend to maybe if you eat, maybe take something with you to eat, or maybe eat at the hotel. It's 15 euros, but it's a buffet. And it's 15 euros, it might sound expensive, but if you take the car, considering the price of gas in Portugal, if you take the car to go to the city center, to eat at the restaurant where you will probably pay 10, 12 euros to eat something, it comes to the same price more or less. And at the hotel it's a buffet, so you can repeat and repeat and repeat and stay full, and it is fine. The quality of food is all right. There's nothing wrong about it. There was not a lot of variety, but it was good quality food. So I cannot complain. I was stuffed. I was fine, and that's it. So I really recommend you guys to go and visit that convention or any other. It was well organized, and the library, the board game library that they had was awesome. There was games for any taste, family games, party games, more challenging games. There was for anything. You could find there Wonderwater Cities, you could find there Anachrony, you could find there Lacerda games, you could find there Haba games. I mean, there was a lot of variety. There was a game for anybody. It's not only a convention for heavy gamers. There was plenty of games. There was also a store, so they had a small corner where you could buy some board games, and they had a small table where you could buy second-hand board games. I bought 2 second-hand board games and 2 new board games, and well, they were selling tickets for you to be able to participate in a random pick at the end of the event. So they would sell these tickets. You could win entrance to the peak for the end of the event. And so that's what happened on Sunday. They randomly took tickets from whatever, I don't know, I was not there, and people won games. I included myself, I won a game. In terms of organization, that was it. Now let's talk about the games that I've played. Day 1, I arrived there in the afternoon, and I had the pleasure to almost immediately meet with the couple behind Meeple of Liberty. They have an Instagram page, and they have also a YouTube channel, which I'll put here in the description, so you guys go visit them. They have nice tutorials about board games, and they were awesome. They were really awesome, really friendly. They teach me 2 games, and it was a blast to play with them. Unfortunately, the second day we were splitted and didn't have the opportunity to play any more games with them, but it was really fun, and 2 awesome people. So the first game that I played with them, and it was Marvel United. We played X-Men expansion, I believe. Yes, because I played with Wolverine, and it was great. I mean, it was really cool. I didn't expect the game to be so simple in terms of components. Okay, I thought it would be maybe something more heavy, which I mean, there's nothing wrong about the fact being simple. I was really happy to see that it was simple, and but the game is not simple. It's easy to teach. It was very fast for them to teach me how to play, but it's not easy to destroy the main villain. So we were doing a three-player game. Basically, you have, I believe, 6 areas. So the villain starts in one side and the good guys start in another one. And so then during the turns, our goal is to go and save some people and fight some bad guys that are on the different locations. And when we cross with the main villain, depending on his characteristics and his powers, then we might inflict damage to him, or he might also inflict damage to us. You have cards, so in order to do attacks, you have your cards in your hand, and sometimes you might have to discard, and you lose really good cards that you could attack the villain with. But overall, a very interesting game, solid game. I think if my daughter was older, I would consider getting it, but certainly not with all the expansions. I think it's too much. I think it's too much, takes too much space, and I don't think I would exploit the entirety of the base game plus the expansions. It's true that every villain has his particularities and the characteristics. Same thing for the heroes, but yeah, I don't see myself exploring all of it. There is big games that I want to explore all of it, like Lord of the Rings or Too Many Bones, but those are favorite games of mine. Marvel United was fun. I would play it again a lot of times, but not a game that I think I would have for my collection. And I'm happy of that, because if I would have enjoyed and loved that game, I would probably be spending a lot of money in order to get everything, which is already too late. So yeah, so that was Marvel United. Cool game, totally recommend. The second game that I played, again with Meeple of Liberty, was Ausonia. This was a game that they introduced to me, and it's a deck builder. A deck builder that at first I was not understanding one mechanic of the game, which they made a lot of fun of it, and I think that every time they will teach that game, they will remember me, because I feel stupid now. Kind of feel stupid about not understanding it from the top, because it was great. That mechanic was very interesting. So basically, it works like any deck builder. You start with 5 or 6 cards, I don't remember. You start with these cards that all the players have the same, and then the main goal is that you have the market in front of you, and you buy cards in order to improve your chances of winning and scoring victory points. And so there is a lot of actions, but usually in a deck builder you want to discard some cards after a while, because you start to get a lot of cards and some of them are not worth anymore. I was not understanding the way that they were discarding cards. And so that's why they had to explain again and again. And the action that you can use to discard a card is called raise. So you would see a card that you would play that has the action raise 1 or raise 2. It means that you can discard the card. And after, you can raise another card and place it on top of that one. Those cards could be, for example, the money. So the money, I call it rubies, because they look like, not pearls, but they look like diamonds or rubies, I don't know. And they are red, green, and blue. And so the idea is that you have your card that you raise, so you put your card face down, and then you put this ruby on top. And I was not understanding why the hell am I putting a card there. What is the use? I don't understand. Well, the use, it works a bit like the gauntlet of Thanos. The use is that you can activate those rubies after in the next turn. For example, you need to buy a card that costs two green rubies and one red ruby. But in your deck, you only have the two cards of green rubies. And you have on your raise pile, you have one red ruby. So you could use these two cards on your hand. You could use those two cards and by turning you activate the power, and you turn and activate the power of the red ruby. That would make you two green rubies and one red ruby. And like that you could buy the card. And this raised card stays there for the entirety of the game. After I understood that, which is quite simple, so that's why I feel really stupid. It was a bit different from normal deck builders that you can just use an action. Well, here also you are using an action, but it's an action that is really discard a card, and I could just discard a card, like you do in Ascension. But this one, you are discarding, but not really discarding because you are using it after as a power. So that was very interesting and very cool. Apparently, there's a lot of people that don't like the art of the game. I don't care. Didn't find it pretty, didn't find it ugly. I don't believe that a game needs to be beautiful in order to be enjoyable. Otherwise, I would not have acquired the Great Zimbabwe. So, yes, I find the Great Zimbabwe could be prettier. I mean, literally, guys, the box is brown. It has a brown box. So, yeah. But again, too many bones for me. Also, I find that I told already in my previous videos that the art is not the most beautiful art on all the board games that I own, but the game is my favorite one. So, you see, don't need to be beautiful in order to be enjoyable. And that was my second board game. So, for my third board game at the convention, it was again with Meeple of Liberty, plus, and I had the pleasure to meet another one, André from Gamnificent. And it was really cool because André taught us a new board game that he's doing in conjunction with Orlando, which made Porto, Rossio, and last year Pessoa. That is, if these things don't fall on me, but it's right here. And they are developing a game together, which is called, just a second, Neotopia. Really fun game. I enjoy the game. There was just some rough edges for them to finish, but I think it has a very good potential. Once it comes out, it will come to my collection. That's for sure. And the game, it's basically you choose a character. The choice of the character is not really important. It doesn't have any particular power or anything linked to it. It's just for you to have like kind of a face on the scoreboard. So you choose a character. You have a board of a city, which I suppose the name is Neotopia, and it's split in 3 regions. And in the middle of those regions, you have what they call the... Well, I don't remember the name in English. Let's call it the production lines. Basically, on the cities, on these different parts of the cities, you have resources. So you have, I also don't know the name of the resource. So you have red resources, blue resources, green resources, and violet resources, purple resources, sorry, not violet. And the production lines, once you remove all the resources from a production line, you refill those production lines with more resources. I just don't remember now if it's based on a card or if it's randomly, but you refill those production lines. And the goal is, on the side of the board, you have cards. So you have a market there of cards that you can go and choose. You choose a card, and this card will come with a pattern. You could have, for example, purple circle, blue circle, purple circle. You take that card, it has a certain amount of points, and then you need to go on the city. You have, I think, you can do 4 actions, 3 or 4 actions. I'm sorry because there is no rule book, and the rules were explained at the time, and I don't remember completely. I forgive myself, Andre and Orlando, if I'm telling this wrong, but I think it's correct. And you would have like 3 or 4 actions that you could do in your turn, and you can go grab a purple resource, place it on the map, and you'll try to do the pattern that is on the card. But it's not that easy because the resources are not always available, and you might not have space enough in order to put your resources spheres in the right place in order to do the sequence. So that seemed a little bit easy in the beginning of the game because the map is empty, but the more you move into the end, it gets more difficult to score points, and yeah, you have maybe a lot of cards in your hand that you want to get rid of, and so that becomes the trickiest part. And yeah, sometimes you are looking at the placement like, please guys, you are thinking, don't put there, don't put there, don't put there, and someone comes and mess up your plans, and you need to change your plans and look for something else. So it's a game where you change strategy a lot because your cards are not visible to the other players, nor their cards are visible to you. So you guys don't know what each other are thinking. Really enjoyed. I can see myself playing that one with my daughter. It's not difficult to explain, not difficult at all to set up, and so I'm expecting it to be a really good game. That one will come out next year normally. Neotopia. And finally, for the last game of day 1, there was 2 players and they were looking for someone. And how do I know they were looking for someone? They had this blue meeple on the table, meaning that they were looking for some players to play. Not this version, but it was Small World, the base game. So I was able to play finally a version of Small World because here I have the Small World of Warcraft. But yeah, this is not a solo game whatsoever. And yeah, I didn't know how to play it, and now I know because I don't think it will change that much. So we played Small World, and I had a blast. I actually won the game. It was the first time I played Small World. It's a classic. Apparently, a lot of people have played it. Not difficult at all. I mean, in terms of learning it, it was not difficult. Of course, it's challenging after when you're playing to know where you deploy your troops and so on. But learning it, very easy, very accessible game. And I suppose I was very lucky because I mean I won the game, but I suppose I was very lucky with the races that I got. I got the ghouls and the skeletons. And my ghouls, they had an extra power that they could conquer spaces even though they were in a decline phase. And I'll explain what is this. So basically in Small World, you get to choose a race, and a race of like you can be a human, you can be a wizard, you can be whatever, a skeleton, whatever. And you choose the race, and with that race, there is an extra power, a random power that comes with that race. So you choose that race, the other players choose a race, and then you start placing troops on the map. So you need to conquer spaces on the map. You start, then the other players start, and then you have 2 possibilities. You can continue invading other places on the map by deploying troops in those locations, or you can decide to decline your race. And declining means that you are saying that your race is going away, from that territory. Into the game that transfers into you are not able to conquer any more territory with that race. You can only conquer new territory with a new race. And that can have some advantages because for me, for example, since my first race was had the power that if it goes into decline, it can still conquer territories. It was awesome because I had literally two races that could conquer territories, and that gave me, I think, advantage. Even though in the end the score was very similar to with everybody. So I find that the game was very balanced. And we played a 5-player game. So I played with Andre from Gamnificent, and Andrea, and I suppose it was Tiago, and the fifth one, I don't remember his name. But it was a blast. It was very cool, very funny people. And yeah, I was invading other territories, and I tried to make a joke so people didn't kick my face. But it was really cool. So I'm now looking forward to play this one because I had such a really good experience with the base game that now I want to play this one, and I'm trying to convince my girlfriend into playing this one. So that was my 4th game of day 1 and last one of day 1. Day 2, guys. Day 2 was intense. Day 1 I finished at 1:30 in the morning, and then I went home, which took me half an hour. By the end, I probably went to bed at 2:30 in the morning. Woke up at 8, breakfast, let's go again. So I arrived at the convention, it was 9:30, almost 10, and there was a lot of people. It was Saturday. A lot of people was there. And I had the pleasure to meet another designer, a Portuguese designer called João Quintela Martins, that was asking for people to play test a board game it's a card game actually, that he was developing. And it's a card game, Western based, so it's based on Lucky Luke. And basically, you have cards with villains and with law people. So law, like you have the sheriff and you have the detective, and then you have the bad guys, the cowboys that are like Jesse James, and I don't remember the other names. And basically, you need to you have 4 paths, 3. Sorry, you have 3 cities, and you have three paths, and the goal is to. Jesus, the light is sucking now. Sorry for the light, guys, but yeah, the weather here is changing. Anyway, I was talking about the card game. Basically, then you have 3 towns, okay, and then you have 3 lanes, and the goal is you choose which path. I mean, in terms of person, you choose which path you want to follow. Do you want to follow the villain path? Do you want to follow the good guy, the sheriff path? And the lawman or the cowboys? You choose which one. But the other players don't know which one you chose, which makes everything tricky because you will be playing cards, but you don't want them to suspect that you are the bad guy or the good guy. You want them to not know that, you know? And so sometimes you might choose to go bad even though you are good, or the other way around. And basically, if you play as a law person, you will prevent the cowboys from robbing a carriage. What the hell is going on with the freaking sun, man? And if you are a cowboy, you want to rob that carriage and everything that is inside. So then what we have in our hand is you have a bunch of cards, you have good guys and bad guys, and you have these 3 pots on the table. If you are a good guy, for example, you'll play the sheriff, and the sheriff will have a value of 3. But then, if someone else is a cowboy, he might go there and play a cowboy that is maybe worth 2 points. So it means that on that track, right now, who's winning is the law person, depending on the other bonuses that the location or the carriage might have. And you can play other cards in order to improve your score and so on. But I just want to keep this basic thing because it might still change. The tricky thing is that if you play the Marshal in track 1, nobody else can play the Marshal on the other tracks. And so the game is always a bit challenging on that way. It might still change, but I really enjoy the game. It was the art was a bit cartoonish, but it's actually quite challenging. And honestly, I really enjoyed it. The premise of the game, I found it really cool, and so I'm very excited to see what João will come up with that. So that was my first game of the second day. Second game of the second day was awesome. Well, the game is called Bot Factory, and it's a co-design of Vital Lacerda and again João Quintela Martins, and they are both working on that game. It's based from Kanban from Vital, but very streamlined. I never played Kanban, but I played on Mars and I played Lisboa, and you know, Vital Lacerda games can be quite challenging, and then this one I didn't find that at all. It was not as challenging as a Vital Lacerda game, but it's not easy. It was not easy either. It's a good level, I would say. And basically on that game, it's a bot factory, so you are building robots. That's it. That's the premise of the game. You have 3 boards. I think it's 3. 4. You have one where you have the assembling lines. You have another one where you collect the pieces of the robots, the head, the body, or the legs. You have another one where you get the projects in order to be able to build the bots. And then the last one is where you can raise or lower the price of each of your robots. So for example, if you build only red robots, the price will go down because you have more red robots than yellow robots. That's basically it. And so, yeah, this is a game where you need to get a project, and you have a red robot and a yellow robot, and then you have those 2 projects. So then you want, or not project, maybe plan, I don't know. And then what you want to do is that you want to get the pieces. But the pieces are always going around, so maybe you will not be able to get the right piece at the right moment, and then you lose a turn. And so you get a piece that you don't really need, but you cannot do anything. You need to wait for your time, because you might have chosen to go for the second board where you can collect the pieces, but someone after you decided that you wanted to go there too, and he placed his meeple before you, and he goes first and you go last. And so that changes everything, because maybe he will take the pieces that you needed, and then you are like there, you wasted your action. But for me, that's not frustrated at all. I enjoy that because it's part. You don't always get what you want, and that's what is the challenging. Otherwise, the game would not be challenging at all. But that's basically it. You need to build robots. So really enjoy that game. I'm waiting for it to come out on Kickstarter. Once it's there, it will be an instant back, because I can see myself playing that with my daughter. And João told me that you also have a solo mode on that game, so I can play it by myself also. So found it really cool. Bot Factory coming on Kickstarter. Then I went for lunch. I had a great lunch with João Quintela Martins and André from Gamificent. And when I came back, I played another game from João Quintela Martins, which is Gelato Miu. This game, super easy to teach. I teached it yesterday to my daughter in 2 minutes. She's 4 years old and she understood what she needed to do. Basically, this is a card game and you need to build ice creams. That's basically it. And so the idea is that you need to collect different ingredients. You will have on the table different cards with different ingredients. You can have strawberry, chocolate, vanilla, and you have the cones to all the ice creams. You will have cups to put 3 bowls of ice cream. So you have all these ingredients, and then you look at the ice creams that you can make. So you have cards with points, and they tell you, okay, in order to make this ice cream, you need this, this, and that. So in order to make a chocolate ball, you need sugar, cream, and chocolate. In order to make a strawberry ball, you need sugar, cream, and strawberry. In order to make a vanilla chocolate ice cream, you need a cone, and you need a vanilla ice cream ball and a chocolate ice cream ball. And so the game is very simple. It's a very quick game. You play it like in 20 minutes, not even, and super easy to teach. And in the end, I got it because I bought it there in the store. It was one of the games that I bought because, yeah, I could see myself playing it with my daughter, and it was a huge success yesterday. So, Gelato Miu from João Quintela Martins. And now we start with the big guns. The 4th game of the second day at the convention was Anachrony. I played this all again with a very nice group of people. I played with Ricardo, that I know him on Instagram is Pop Toro. I played with Joana and Gonçalo. Very fun group indeed, very funny people, and we played Anachrony. I lost, not by much, but I lost. And I think Anachrony suffers the fact that a lot of people around me on Instagram and so on, and even on the community of board game, praises that game a lot, certainly for the time travel. I had my expectation very high because I love everything that is related with time travel. I love the theme of time travel. You have Inception, you have Interstellar, you have this last one, I forgot the name, with Robert Pattinson, but I forgot the name. Also from Christopher Nolan. I love those movies, so I love the theme of time travel. And I was expecting this time travel thing to be something bigger, on that game. And actually, it's just a bidding method. So you are exchanging. You are going to the past. You are going to the past. No, you are on the past, and you exchange to get some resources, and then you go to the future, and you can always go back to the past in order to pay those resources. And that is an interesting mechanic, but I was expecting something else. And so the game is very solid. The game is definitely a very good game. I have nothing to say about the game. I had fun, but it's not a game that I consider to get to my collection. I might lose some friendships and might lose some followers because of saying that, but I don't find the game is bad, not at all. I would play the game again, but again, it's not a game that I would spend money, because Anachrony, they have you cannot find it anymore. You will need to go to eBay and pay a lot of money. So in a way, I'm happy that I didn't enjoy as much the game, so that I don't spend that amount of money. But for the people that love the game, I understand why. It's just that it didn't match with me. Maybe with more plays of the game, I will enjoy it more. But for now, it was not as exciting as I was expecting. But still, I would recommend, go have a look and lower your expectations about the time travel. I would not say that it's really a time travel theme. You can exchange some resources with the past, and you can go to the past in order to pay those resources, but what you are doing on your board is in the present. There's nothing happening on your board that's happening on the past. And I was expecting something like, I'm in the present, and then I go to the past, I do some action in the past that will alter somehow my board in the future. That is what I was expecting, you know. I was expecting that I was on a certain timeline, I can travel to the past, affect something on the past that will directly affect my present. And that was not it. That was not it, and that was what I was expecting. Didn't see any playthrough of Anachrony or anything, and so in my mind I was expecting that. Still, solid game, so have a look at it. And finally, at 11:30 in the evening, the same group decided to play, me included, I decided to, not only the group, Scythe. 4-player game. This game lasted until 3 in the morning. By the end, if I could give resources for the other players to be able to collect the stars, I would, but there was no action in the game that would allow me to just give all of my resources to the other players. Nonetheless, I found the game very interesting. I'm really curious about playing the game completely rested, because I was brain dead at that moment. But the game was very interesting, and I found that it had a good pace, even though we were 4 players. There was some analysis paralysis sometimes, but certainly because we were all tired. But still, it had a nice flow. There was not really a moment where I was like, "Ole, come on, move," you know, and I found that interesting. It's the first time I played Scythe, so I never played before. It was not something that was attracting me that much, the theme and so on, because again, it looks in the cover that you can fight with others, but in reality, you are conquering spaces and you are collecting resources, and the fighting, it's a bit secondary. You only fight if you really need to, you know, if you want to really steal all the resources that are in a certain place from your opponent, then you go there and you fight. But it's not something that you could go for a complete game of 3 hours without fighting with anybody. That's for me, that's completely possible. There was the case. That was not the case. We all fight at each other at some point, but because I was an asshole. But I'm very curious, and certainly because I heard a lot from solo gamers that it's a very good solo game, which it seems weird to me because I cannot see the way we play the 4-player game. I cannot see how it can be a good solo, but I'm willing to try. And that was it. That was my 5th game of day 2 of RiaCon, and my last one of the event. So if I have to give a top 3 of the games that I played, I enjoyed all of them, and some of them I consider having them in the future in my collection. But the top 3 games that I really enjoyed was Scythe. I enjoyed the experience, even though we were exhausted. I enjoyed the experience with the table and the friends that I was playing it with. Scythe, Neotopia, and Bot Factory. Those 3 games will come to my collection for sure. Maybe Neotopia and Bot Factory more than Scythe, because I start to not have space at home, and I believe Neotopia and Bot Factory will not be as big of a box as Scythe, but I still consider to have Scythe one day in my collection, and so those 3 for sure they will come as soon as they are available, because I really enjoy them. And so that was it. Again, guys, thank you if you follow me on Instagram, if you follow me on TikTok. I don't put a lot of videos here on YouTube. It takes a lot of time for me to record and to edit these videos. That is why I don't do it as often as I wish I could. With also the kids and so on, it's not as easy. But I wanted to talk. This is not a video that I could make on Instagram or TikTok, because I wanted to have as much time as possible to talk about this. And again, if you really enjoy this hobby and if you really are passionate about learning new games, about playing new games, about getting to know designers and to know how they think and so on, you need to go to a convention. Just go and enjoy because it's awesome. The community is very welcoming. Everybody was 5 stars with me, and I think I made potentially a number of good friends in the future there. So that was it. That was my feedback and what I wanted to talk about RiaCon. Again, I want to thank you thank you the staff. That was awesome, even though they will never watch this video. And that was it. So guys, go to a convention and we'll see on the next video. Bye bye.